I'm Mark Matsumoto and welcome to my Tokyo kitchen. But before this, I lived in Sapporo for a few years and their rich, unctuous bowls of miso ramen were what got me through the harsh winters there. Today I want to show you an authentic miso ramen broth that you can make at home, but I've got some magical kitchen hacks that'll have you slurping up the bowl in under 30 minutes. So what's the trick? Well, ramen shops create their creamy, umami-rich broth by cooking bones and aromatics together for up to a day to extract the flavors while creating an emulsion of collagen and fat. My method speeds this up by using caramelization and Maillard browning to build flavor, and then I add gelatin and fat before emulsifying it with a blender. This gives my miso ramen broth the richness and flavor of an authentic ramen shop in just a fraction of the time. Sound good? Let's check out our ingredients. To make the flavorful base for our broth, I'm using 230 grams of ground pork, 30 grams of onion, 25 grams of carrot, 25 grams of ginger, 20 grams of garlic, a tablespoon of Hatcho miso, a quarter teaspoon of baking soda, and 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil. For the broth, I've got 4.5 cups of chicken stock, 2 tablespoons of sake, 10 grams of powdered gelatin, 4 tablespoons of red miso, 1 tablespoon of Saikyo miso, and 1 tablespoon of cultured unsalted butter. This makes enough broth for 2 to 3 bowls of ramen, so I've got 2 servings of fresh curly yellow ramen noodles. For the toppings, I've prepared a white ramen egg, chashu, menma, minced scallion stems, chopped scallion greens, and some corn. I'll add links to the recipes for some of these in the description down below. To make the base, I'm gonna put a large frying pan on a scale and zero it out. Add the vegetable oil and the ground pork, and then I'm gonna grate in 30 grams of onion. By grating all of the aromatics, we can caramelize them much faster, allowing us to get a ton of flavor very quickly. Then I'm gonna zero out the scale again and grate in 25 grams of carrot. By the way, if you don't already have a kitchen scale, I highly recommend picking one up. It's way easier and more accurate to measure out ingredients like this, and you don't need to dirty a bunch of spoons and cups. Now I'm gonna repeat this for the ginger and the garlic. And we're ready to get this on the stove. Turn the stove on to medium-high heat and add the baking soda and Hatcho miso. Then you want to crumble the pork up as you stir the ingredients together. The baking soda is going to raise the pH of this mixture, which significantly speeds up caramelization. And I like adding the Hatcho miso at this stage because frying it helps accentuate its rich, earthy flavor. You want the pork crumbles as small as possible to create the maximum amount of surface area, so keep chopping it up with your spatula. Once the pork is crumbly and cooked through, you can spread the mixture out and stop stirring for 20 to 30 seconds to encourage browning. Then you can stir and repeat this a few more times until the mixture is well browned and you have a beautiful layer of fond on the bottom of your pan like this. This will take about 8 minutes. Now I'm gonna deglaze the pan with sake and scrape all of that flavor off the bottom of the pan. Then I'm gonna add the chicken stock and the powdered gelatin. Bring this mixture to a rolling boil and be sure to stir it periodically to scrape up any remaining fond that's stuck to the bottom of the pan. Bone broths get their thick, unctuous texture from the breakdown of collagen into gelatin, so using powdered gelatin is a massive shortcut to get us that silky texture. Once the ramen broth reaches a full boil, set a timer for 10 minutes and turn down the heat to maintain a gentle simmer. While we wait for that to infuse, I want to take a moment to tell you about my online cookbook over at marksrecipes.com. It's where I share the easy home-cooked meals that I make for my family, like this ginger braised tuna belly, these crispy oven-baked tebasaki wings, or this Japanese-style shrimp and cabbage pasta. I've got hundreds of recipes over there with a new one added every week, so go check it out. All right, let's get back to our broth. As you can see, the broth has thickened up a bit thanks to that gelatin, and it's drawn out all of the complex flavors from the pork and aromatics. Now we just need to strain this. Be sure to press on the solids to get as much broth out of it as you can. The meat and aromatics have done their job, so you can discard them, but I usually save them for making fried rice. Next, I'm gonna add the red miso, which is nutty and full of umami. I'm also gonna add the Saikyo miso, which is creamy and mildly sweet. Finally, I'm gonna add the butter, which is a common topping for miso ramen. Now here's where things get magical. Gelatin, butter, and miso are all natural emulsifiers, so I'm gonna use an immersion blender to emulsify the fat into the broth. This transforms what would otherwise be an oily soup into a rich, creamy ramen broth. Just look at how beautifully silky this is. Okay, let's get this into a pot and set it over low heat to keep it warm, but be careful not to let it boil. Now I'm gonna preheat a ramen bowl by filling it with some boiling water. And it's time to boil our noodles. I'm just doing 1 serving of noodles for now. These take 2 to 3 minutes to cook, but it'll depend on the ones you're using, so check the package directions. When the noodles are almost done, drain the hot water from your bowl. Then I'm gonna drain the noodles and give them a good shake so our broth doesn't get watery. Dump the noodles into the bowl, and then I'm gonna ladle on the miso broth. Now I'm gonna untangle the noodles by pulling them up with chopsticks. This not only makes them look nicer, it's also gonna ensure the noodles are well coated with the broth while creating a bed for our toppings. Then I'm gonna sprinkle the minced scallion stems directly into the soup so they cook a little. Let's add some chopped scallion greens to one side, and the corn to the other side. This will create a platform to prop up a few slices of chashu. Let's fill in the gap with a few pieces of menma, which are fermented and seasoned bamboo shoots. Finally, I'm gonna add my white ajitama or ramen egg, and my 30-minute miso ramen is ready to eat. Words can't describe how delicious this smells, so let's try it out. Itadakimasu. All right, I'm gonna go in for some of the soup first. You can see how thick that soup is. It's got layers of flavor. You've got the sweet aromatics in there, that ginger and the garlic, and you've got that deep, meaty flavor from that pork. The Hatcho miso has done its job and added a bunch of earthy flavor to the broth. And you build up those other flavors of miso in there, and this tastes like it's been simmering all day. That Saikyo miso adds a little bit of sweetness and a mellow creaminess, and we just get boatloads of umami from that red miso. All right, let's try some of these noodles here. I love ramen. Oh. This miso ramen wouldn't look out of place at a ramen shop in Sapporo, but it only took 30 minutes to make, so I hope you'll give it a try. Well, I'm gonna finish up this bowl before the noodles go soggy, but check out this playlist for all of my Japanese noodle soup recipes, and I'll catch you in the next one.